Welcome to the Books and Martinis podcast.
I'm Priya.
And I'm Mercy.
And this is your go-to book podcast,
where we lift, empower, and spotlight authors.
Grab your martini and follow along.
And don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe.
Hey, book lovers. This episode of Books and Martinis is brought to you by our wonderful sponsors. Blue Box Media, you dream it, we produce it. And Travel with Samantha Sividanis, specializing in luxury cruises. Ooh. Their support keeps the stories, authors, and conversations flowing. Don't forget to visit them and support the brands that support this podcast. Now the martinis are poured, let's get into the episode. What's up, everyone? Welcome to our podcast. I'm Priya.
I'm Mercy. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Azaria. I'm so excited you're with us today.
Cheers. Cheers.
So excited. Cheers. You are with us all the way from South Africa.
What?
How is the weather? How's the weather there?
We're actually, I think, turning into autumn now. So it is changing a little bit. We had some very, very hot weather, but it's cooling down now. So it's nice.
Oh, I love that. I love fall is like my favorite season. You get all the cozy stuff happening, the blankets, the coffee.
Yes, and you're over the heat.
Yes.
Definitely over the heat.
So guys, on the screen and in your ears is Azaria Waldeck. She is the founder of the Amethyst Quill, where she works with indie authors as both an editor and author PA. With a passion for storytelling and a heart for supporting creatives, she helps writers refine their manuscripts and navigate the practical side of the publishing journey. Azaria views editing as a collaborative partnership, one that protects the author's unique voice while helping the story reach its fullest potential. Her mission is to provide a supportive space where authors feel empowered to grow, create, and share their work with confidence. Yay! We're so excited to have you on.
We really are. And can we just say that both Priya and I completely entrusted with our heart and soul our manuscript to Azaria, who has been working. She actually completed Priya's book, which is coming out soon, and she's currently working through mine. So on a very personal note, thank you, and it's such an honor to meet you, and we're so excited.
I'm so excited as well, and thank you for the trust that you guys have put in me, not only to be here today, but like I said, with your stories as well.
Oh, Azaria, tell us a little bit about yourself. What in the world got you to do this work?
Yeah.
So I think like pretty much everybody watching or listening, stories have always been a very big part of my life. Excuse the noise in the background.
Oh, that's
Is it your doggo? Do you have a dog or a cat?
Two dogs. Yeah, sorry, they are.
They're our co-hosts for today. Your puppers are our co-hosts.
I love it.
Yeah. So like I said, stories have always been a very big part of my life. After school, I decided to study English language and literature. I combined that with a little bit of philosophy and criminology as well, because I kind of just love finding out or figuring out what's going on in people's heads, and then also what kind of drives the narratives of the world and things like that. That kind of led me into the education sector. I became a teacher because I wanted to make a meaningful difference in the lives of young people and kind of impart my love of reading with them as well, and just create a kind of safe environment where they have the opportunity to grow and reach their full potential. And it's something that I've realized these values that I've kind of brought into the Amethyst Quill as well with my authors, is creating that environment of caring and nurturing and helping the author grow and the story grow into the best possible version that it can be.
Yeah,
So I was in education and I kind of went through a little bit of a difficult patch. rediscovered the power that stories have, not only for readers, but for writers as well. And I was I kind of decided, okay, well, I'm going to take a little bit of a leap of faith. I changed my careers completely and decided to pursue editing. And I have to say, there was, yeah, a period where I focused on Bookstagram. What an amazing online community.
Community.
Yeah, that's how we all met. How we met
Exactly.
you.
Yeah, it's yeah, it has played such a huge role in my journey. Just the inspiring people, authors that I've met, a lot of them who actually encouraged me to start up the Amethyst Quill and to focus on specifically supporting indie authors who I'm sure you guys know oftentimes have to kind of take this publishing road alone and
Yeah.
struggle through it through the process yourselves. So yeah, so that's basically me in a nutshell. Yeah, for me, editing is a partnership. It's not something that I want to be a kind of like a one and done. It's a road that I want to walk alongside the authors and yeah, to help your story just grow to the best version that it could possibly be.
I love that. I love that. And I'm so excited that you're working on my book. Like of all the people, I'm so excited. I'm
I
so
kind of feel
happy.
like it's kismet because we're
Right?
teachers also. We've been so Mercy had a preschool for over 20 years, and
Yes.
I've sort of been like
Yes.
and we had a charity together where we taught environmental education and to
My daughter
preschoolers.
became a teacher.
Yeah. So we're surrounded by educators, and us being educators ourselves in our own right. But I feel like this is kismet, that you're
Yes.
there. You became our editor, and you just like fell into our laps, and we are
It's just meant to
so,
be.
yeah, we are so grateful
Yeah.
for you. Like, okay, so from my point of view, because you just finished my manuscript for Between Beasts and the Stars, and it's my debut novel, including Mercy. Mercy's novel is going to be her debut novel as well. So this is very like nerve wracking for us,
Yes.
because
To say the least.
yeah, and in the beginning I was like messaging you like, oh my God, do you like it? Like,
Is it okay?
I haven't heard from you. Do you like it? Because it's nerve wracking, and you were so like, you were so
Soothing,
caring
right?
and soothing, and
Mhm.
you reinforced the fact that that I am a good writer. I'm a decent writer. My story's decent. Hopefully fantastic when you read it. Listeners read it.
Exactly.
Um,
Definitely.
yeah, but you were very reassuring. That's the word I'm looking for. You were very reassuring, and that
Oh,
meant a
thank
lot to
you.
me, and it really calmed my nerves. So really, my first question is, because when somebody hands over their manuscript to you, uh, and you first open the manuscript, what are the first three things you're instinctively looking for?
Before you decide to accept
Yes,
that manuscript.
like you just did that for Mercy. So like, what were like the things that you were looking for?
So, it's a great question.
While you
Um,
think about it, I would like to share that when I was going to share, when I first spoke with you via email,
mm,
I told you I had X amount of words. I think it was like 96,000 words. And then when I actually sent you the manuscript, it was like 30,000. And you emailed me back and you said, wait, I thought you said you had 96. And I told you, yes, but I'm thinking I'm only going to share like half of the book because I think it's too long. And I just think it's an overkill. And you inspired me and said, no, no, send me the whole thing. I'll tell you if it's too much. So that's the kind of person we're working with. And I think that's huge. Thank you.
oh,
So now,
thank
now I
you.
go back to you. What are the three things that
So, um, obviously, it's very difficult to just accept a project if you don't know anything about the book, which is usually why I would ask the authors to either share the manuscript with me if you feel comfortable enough, or share a couple of chapters, which I do. I offer a free sample edit if you would like that, which also kind of gives you the idea of, am I the right fit for you? Will we work together okay? But once I have a manuscript in my hands, I'm kind of reading it through two lenses. I'm reading it through the lens of a reader and then an editor as well. So as a reader, I'm noticing whether the opening kind of pulls you in immediately, and does the story kind of spark my curiosity? Does it make me want to turn to the next page? Because that's also, it's very, very important that you kind of have that kind of hook into your readers. Then I'll start kind of paying attention to the characters and their voice, whether it feels authentic and consistent throughout the story, because a lot of the times it is your characters that the readers emotionally invest in with your story. Then, while I'm doing all of that, my editor's perspective is always in the background going off. So I am just getting a sense of the story's clarity and the pacing of your story, whether the plot feels like it's unfolding in a natural way, that's going to keep the readers interested in engaging with your story, or whether it feels a little bit rushed in certain areas or a little bit weighed down. So when I have my hands on your manuscript, for me, I'm not looking for perfection. I'm looking for the foundations of a story that the readers will want to stay with. So I hope that answers the question.
Yes. When you hand the story back to the author, is the product that you are returning with the edits that you are suggesting? And I think that's how you do it, right? You do a suggestion on the, okay.
Yes,
So
yes,
when
yes.
you give back the author the manuscript and you say, okay, here it is, and here are my edits, these are my suggestions as to what would make your book better. Once those edits are implemented, do you feel that that product is ready to go to the next step of publishing?
It should be. It depends on the feedback of the author at that stage as well. Um, it's not a be all, end all if an editor makes a suggestion. It doesn't mean that the writer has to accept it. There can be a little bit of and forth, and sometimes the author is very adamant that they want a certain section to stay in a certain way. But once the first set of edits have gone out, the changes have been made, depending on which stage of the editing process the writer is in, then it should be it should be ready to go onto the next stage.
And
Yeah.
on an average of 60,000 words, let's say, right? That would be an average book. What would a turnaround time look like if an author went to you, roughly? I mean, I would assume that has to do also with all the other books you're working on at a time, because you're just one human.
Yeah,
but
well, that's part two of the question, like how many manuscripts do you work on at a time?
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so since I am kind of still finding my feet starting off, I prefer to work on one manuscript at a time, just to give it my full attention and make sure that it's getting the best that I can offer. Sorry about
That's
the
okay.
noise. And so the turnaround for me at this stage also depends on the type of editing involved. If it is developmental editing, which focuses a lot more on the plot and the structure and the character arcs, the big overall picture of the story, it tends to take a little bit longer. If I am working on multiple edits for an author as well, that will also factor into the time. If it's a project like Priya's, was, which was a little bit more intensive, then I would say anywhere from 5 to 8 weeks. If there is a little bit of a crunch, then obviously I can try and work a little bit faster as well. If it's a basic line and copy editing that needs to be done, just tightening up phrases here and there, don't need to worry too much about consistency in terms of the story or the plot, then you're looking at about 4, maybe 5 weeks, depending on the length of the story. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a lot depends.
One thing that I loved as you were editing, so I did my editing in Google Docs. We did the editing in Google Docs. And you gave the suggestions, and, I would like follow up almost right away. Like I would go through the suggestions, make time for it. I love the way you pushed me, because in the beginning of my writing journey, I thought the book was ready, and I had some beta readers who were like, "Oh my God, Priya, it's amazing, blah, blah." But they're like, they love me anyway, so they're like, I didn't feel like it was constructive criticism. It was more like, "I love you. This is good. I can't believe you wrote this."
Fun, right?
Yeah. And then I had some author friends read like the first 3 chapters, and they were like, "Priya, you need an editor." Yeah. I was like, "Oh no." And then I started second guessing myself, like, "Oh no, what am I going to do?" Blah, blah, blah. And then of course the big realization is like, yeah, I have to really dig deep into this. I need somebody to push me and to, ask me questions like, "Why are you doing this? Why are you phrasing it that way?" Catch, the nuances, and tell me I need to rework something or delete something. And you totally did that going through the manuscript. And I so appreciated that, because at some points I was just like, "Oh my God, I have to really sit and think about it." Do I really want this character to do this? Do I, want, and even like the wording. So some words, talk about repetitive words. I had a lot of repetitive words, and you're like, "Priya, like this whole section right here."
Yeah.
This whole chapter, we need to rework this whole thing. And I was like, "Oh no." So I had to really make time for it, to really dive into all your suggestions. But I loved that. I loved the criticism. And I think every author needs somebody who does it with a caring voice. You weren't just like, "Oh, this is like, like a strict teacher or anything like that." You did it with a caring voice, and you were very gentle with the nudges. And I loved that about the editing process with you.
And you had world building. You had all kinds of creatures.
Yeah, mine was a little dense with the characters and all the things. That
was a lot going on.
Yeah,
a lot going on. And I feel, Azaria, that you get, every story is its own challenge, because let's say Priya's book, right? There's so many different worlds and characters and different species, aside from personalities and things that you have to remember as you're moving along. Didn't this person die, or is that person alive, or wasn't he purple instead of orange? Like, there's so many different
she caught
things.
That stuff. She came back and she was like, "Hey, wasn't this guy doing XYZ or looked like SYZ?"
Exactly.
You totally did something different here.
Right. Yeah. So that would be those would be the challenges in a story like yours. And then you have a story like mine, where I feel that one of my biggest challenges is, number one, that English is my second language. And number two, my early education, a lack of it. And so those are like the basics. So I kind of learned through the school of hard knocks to get to where I'm at in life. But when you're writing, you go back to, what you would have learned in first through third grade. So it's challenging to make a story flow. I was speaking from the heart, so I could tell you how I'm feeling and how it's going, but is it flowing for somebody that's trying to read it? So I would assume that you get all these different challenges from different stories. How have your experiences, like, what has been your biggest challenge when editing a story outside of ours, or even if it was one of ours, but what has been your biggest challenge when working on a story?
I wouldn't necessarily say it's a challenge, but like both of you just mentioned, the difference in your two stories, and I am approaching the editing slightly different, as I'm sure you would have picked up with just chatting to each other about how it's going. Priya was very upfront from the beginning that she wanted that feedback. She wanted to be like consistently in the loop of what's going on, where the edits are at, and the specific focuses or the specific things she wanted me to focus on. With you, Mercy, you seemed a little bit more laid back, and also because the story genres differ so much, um, I'm doing a lot of my editing offline at first, before bombarding you with like 1,000, 9,000. Priya, you counted the edits
I
and
did a
things like
whole
that.
reel on my 600 edits.
Did you really?
But I freaking love that. I saw it and I was like,
I mean, that's what we would
what?
want, right? You work so
Yes.
hard on a book, you want it to be right.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I also don't want you to see that number and think like, oh my word, what have I done? Like nothing is right. Um, like Priya would have noticed, and Mercy, even with you, a lot of the things that I am picking up, it's little tiny spacing inconsistencies and punctuation inconsistencies, and a little bit of grammar here and there. But for me, to get back to the question that you were asking, I don't see it as a challenge. Every single manuscript that I am taking on is an amazing learning opportunity for me. Because whenever I get to something like with Priya and the world building and all of the different characters and the different character POVs, I had never really thought about like as I was reading, I'm scribbling notes and like this one says this one talks like this. But then like I came to a point where I was like, wouldn't it just be better for me to have a style sheet or a character sheet for each character to keep track of um like the differences in the tone of voice, the differences in how they see the world and things like that. So that was something new for me. Like it's like a permanent note now where if I am dealing with a book with multiple points of view is to make sure that I take as many notes as possible about those characters to make sure that that consistency runs throughout the book. And then with Mercy, with yours, it's um, like your story hits very different and is a lot more emotional in that sense, in the story that you are telling. So that also kind of brings me back to just how I approach it, the language that we want to use to convey those feelings as best as possible for the readers. So.
So that's fantastic. Like, I'm so excited to hear this. If you have an author listening now, right? A writer, an aspiring author, maybe it's the first book, maybe it's their second or third book, and they're looking to you to edit their book. I think it's so interesting to learn that not only as an author do you sit there like with your board and all your characters and all their traits and personalities and voices and all these things. So not only is the author breaking all that down, but so is the editor so that they can find the flow, right? Because the creative story is one thing, but the structure behind it is completely different.
Yeah.
What is one thing you would want anybody that's going to give you a manuscript to know ahead of time before they even waste your time? What is the one thing, like, come on, don't send me this. You should have at least, had a beginning and an end.
How many drafts would an author need to do before they hand it over to an editor? I mean, that might be a bit,
right?
Like how much work they need to put into it before they give it to you.
Well, I would say a definite self-edit is a big plus. Just after you've written everything down, obviously, writing is a very like fluid activity. You're going to write your first draft, and a lot of people then think, okay, yay, I'm done. I can go ahead and publish. Please, please don't do that. At at least read through the story again yourself, specifically with the eye of editing a little bit. You'll be surprised how many little typos are hiding away, little punctuation, weirdness and things like that. Another thing I think that would be beneficial, but doesn't replace an editor as well, is if you have an alpha reader or a beta reader or readers that have gone through your story, because they can give you a lot of valuable feedback, but they won't be looking at it through the lens of an editor. Um, they'll be able to tell you, yes, it's a good story, like you've got something there and you can go ahead. But other than that, I wouldn't say there's too many limitations on like in what condition the story needs to be for an author to approach me. If you have done your first draft and you have no one or know where to turn to, and you are looking for somebody that can kind of soundboard off ideas, check the work. You don't have to do a full complete edit initially. A lot of editors, myself now included, offer manuscript assessments or evaluations, which is kind of a lighter touch to a developmental edit. Like you won't go into as much detail, but it's great for if you are in a little bit of a pinch, you don't have the money at the moment to pay for an editor, just to kind of guide you, guide you to show you areas that might need a little bit more, a little bit more work.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
If you have a writer, somebody that's thinking about it, somebody's listening to us and they haven't written a book, but they have ideas about books, right? And now they're going to sit down and they say, okay, great. Well, I have an editor in mind already. All I have to do is, put pen to paper and write my story. What are the fundamental things that somebody needs to put in a story for it to be a great story, right? So break that down as simple as possible for somebody
I feel like
aspiring
that's such
to
a
write
big
something.
question. We might need a whole episode for that.
Well,
I wanted to say that that's
the
like a
simple
very
version.
subjective question as well, because it'll completely depend on your readers. For me, I personally feel that every story, whether it's in your head, in your heart, hiding away on your laptop somewhere, every single story has a reader waiting for that story to get out there, regardless of the state that it is in, or whether you feel like you don't necessarily have the correct structure, or you didn't study writing, or you haven't done any courses or anything on writing or anything like that. I think the field of writing is also so immense if you think about it. Like nobody, I wouldn't say nobody, but there are so many authors that kind of just they get out of the box. They try something different. They write things in a way that you don't think would make sense. And for some people, it won't. But for other people, it's like, oh, okay, that's actually an interesting take on it. So I don't think there's like hard and fast set of rules when it comes to writing. It's creative. It's meant to be explored. I think if you have a story in mind, like write it down. don't worry about it being perfect. But get that idea on
Paper.
paper or on your laptop. And once you've done that, then that's kind of when the revision starts. That's when you go back and then you're like, okay, but maybe how can we like tweak this, and maybe we can add a little bit here, or oh no, this isn't working, like take this out completely. And I do feel, especially in today's day and age, with the access that we have to multiple platforms where like-minded people come together, the opportunity is there to have people to bounce ideas off. Like, listen, I'm trying to write this story, but I want to, like, I'm not exactly sure how or where or why. Yeah, I think it's amazing the community that's available for writers today to kind of help you along your way to yeah to write your story. So no, it's not exactly the answer you were hoping for, Mercy, but yeah, I do think there isn't yeah a
Or right or
set like
wrong.
one, two, three, you need this in your story for it to be a success. I think it needs to come from the heart. That's important, and it needs to be your voice.
Yeah.
Because if you've got readers that pick up your book, they want to read you. And I think that's kind of what's most important.
Yeah.
Love that.
What is the most common misconception about editing or being an editor? So
Uh,
have you had like weird questions, or like people think that you're supposed to do X, Y, Z, but it's not really like that? What's the most common misconception?
so I think the most common misconception and probably fear from writers is that an editor is just going to fix and rewrite your whole manuscript. I think many um, writers imagine editors as these like very strict gatekeepers that are going to tear the whole manuscript apart when the goal is actually the complete opposite from that. My role as your editor is to help you see your story more clearly and the strengths that are already there to kind of just help polish them, yeah, to become that best version that it can possibly be. So for me, I think a good editor is somebody that kind of protects the author's voice at all costs. And you're kind of just helping refine the structure, the pacing, the clarity of the story so that it connects more deeply with the readers.
I love that. I love that.
What's one piece of tough love that you can share? Like you're saying that, the misconception is that writers think that you're going to do like, rip through everything, rewrite everything, but really you're just there to preserve their voice and to help guiding them through the process and making the changes that they need to preserve their voice. But is there a piece of like tough love you could share for our writers? Like one piece of advice or two?
So I have to be very honest, when I saw
Yeah.
the question ahead of time, I was like going back and forth. I'm like, oh my goodness, I have no idea how to answer this question, because it also like I thought of it from certain perspectives, and because I'm coming from a position where I work with a lot of local indie authors as well, like I've got an idea of from that perspective, like what would be some tough love. But then if I think about it again from like the international perspective and the authors that I've been working with there, then it's something a little bit different. So I thought I'm going to bring it a little bit closer to home, and I think it kind of touches on some of the things that I have um, mentioned already. But for me, and this is a personal one, it's that your first draft, it's allowed to be messy. Get it down, like write that story that has been stuck in your head. Don't worry about perfection. And that's something that I'm telling myself. and it's a reason why I haven't pursued my writing as much, is because I am focused on everything needs to be perfect. I mean, I'm an editor. I want everything to be nice and pretty and like cohesive. So I would say get that messy first draft down. Okay. It's not um it's not bad. You're not a failure if it's messy. Okay. It is your first draft. You're allowed to go back and then revise and um, change your mind about things. But I think a lot of writers to get to that stage where they're like about to start writing it, and then they quit because they're like, this is just going to be like vomit. It's
Right.
not going to be pretty. Like how am I going to get from here to a publishable book? So yeah, I think that would be like my little bit of tough love, is just do it. Yeah, even if it is messy,
Okay
just
to
get
be
it down.
messy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay to be messy. It doesn't mean that you're a bad writer. It doesn't mean that you don't have a story. You have a story to tell. It's there.
I
Don't
love that.
don't wait for the yeah.
Go
Yeah.
Nike, just do it.
Yeah, just do
Yes,
it.
exactly.
Yeah.
No,
Just do
just
it.
do it.
What is so for everybody listening, I know this gets confusing. What is the difference between line editing, copy editing, and developmental editing?
Okay, so I'm gonna
That's a great
flip it
question.
around, flip it around on you, because you generally start with developmental editing first. That is your big picture editing. That is where you focus on the plot of the manuscript, where you look at the pacing, the character development, the story development, the flow, and all of that. Your line editing then goes line by line through it to pick up like changes in the structure of the sentences and things like that that you might need to implement. Copy editing is a lot more to do with just sorry, like my hamster fell off its wheel at the moment. um, so sorry. So
Love that.
your
Okay.
copy editing is where the editor will focus a lot more on the grammar and making sure that there's consistency running throughout with the punctuation and things like that. For me specifically as an editor, there is such a narrow line between the line editing and the copy editing that I tend to do them at the same time, because you're reading the sentence, you're looking at the structure, and obviously if there's any grammar, any punctuation, any inconsistencies that you're picking up, you're kind of fixing them at the same time. So yeah, you've got your big picture um, story editing. I want to say, yeah. And then the other two are a little bit more finer details. And then right at the end of it, so this is basically you've had all of your other editing done, you've had your formatting done, you can get a proofreader to go through the text one last time before you send it off to the publisher. And they basically, well, with a proofread, you basically just checking that there aren't any little grammar gremlins hiding somewhere or little inconsistencies that were added with the um, different layers of editing that, that were done. Because oftentimes, yeah, you can get a little bit confused here and there. So it's just good to have another, yeah, go through. And so each of the stages kind of flow, flow onto one another.
That's great. Yeah, I'm glad you broke that down, because that was even confusing for me. I'm like, what's the difference between line and copy? It's like the same thing.
Right. I was
It's
taking
very
notes. I love that.
similar. Yeah, it's very similar. But yeah, you're refining the sentence flow with the line editing a lot more. And with your copy editing, you're not going to work too much on the order of the words in a sentence necessarily, unless it's a glaring error or something that isn't sitting right. Where with the copy editing, you're going to mostly focus on just making sure that if this person's name is spelled like this in the beginning, well, then it has to be spelled the same throughout the book. If you're using, yeah, any word or any spelling of the word, that the consistency is there throughout. So I think that's one of the biggest things that throw readers, is if like one stage you're talking about this and then you're referring to it again, but now it's a little bit different. The same with your punctuations and things like that. Consistency is very important.
Yes. Yes. Especially for that reader that's trying to follow along with the story.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. What's one piece of advice you would give another editor? So I know you're just starting on your professional, official editing business, but what's one piece of advice you can give another editor who wants to start and do the same thing you're doing?
Somebody that wants to start up, I would say, just continue learning. I think is very important, especially in this field. Like, continue practicing, continue learning, continue developing your skills. I think it's never easy for anybody to start up their own business. It's scary, but just make sure you've got a good support system behind you, and have patience. I think is a big one as well.
Yes.
But read. I know a lot of editors, if I'm thinking of some of the associations that I'm a part of in South Africa, we have a lot more focus on academic editing. I think it's only recently that fiction and even non-fiction editing, but mostly fiction editing, has started picking up a little bit. So it is very new for authors in our country, because they're so used to having to do everything themselves. And at the end of the day, I think it's just do it because you love to do it. Don't do it because you think it's going to be easy money and all of that.
Nothing about it sounds easy.
Nothing. Even from our point of view as the author, like I saw clearly
it's not fun easy.
How much work you were, because you were paying attention to stuff that I completely missed, no matter how many times I drafted. Like, you were paying attention. And then, I mentioned before the 600 edits. A lot of that was commas, by the way.
Yeah, it was. Adding commas in.
Yeah, and I literally spent like over an hour sitting here, except on every comma.
That's the best. Those are the best edits ever. Those are the best ones. The bad ones are when they tell you, think about this. Why did you say that? Or put it in words in a different context, or
you can rephrase this
dialogue.
Better. And then I would rephrase it and be like, what do you think? Did I rephrase it better? And you're like, yeah, it's good.
And so I want to ask you a question that we typically ask authors, because we typically interview authors. So we ask them because other authors always want to know. So in case we have other editors listening, or aspiring editors, what does a day as an editor look like for you? Is it I wake up, I have my coffee, and I sit down at the computer and I work until noon, and that's it. I don't touch it again. Or I work, throughout the day, or I have my creative juices are at night, or like what does your day look like as an editor?
Very chaotic, if I'm being honest. I think also because I'm not doing the editing full time as well. I do have an afternoon job. So for me, it's waking up in the mornings. There is a little bit of a routine. It's coffee most mornings, going to the gym with my husband, getting back, just kind of taking a breath, relaxing, coming and sitting in front of the laptop, doing a little bit of work. A lot of the times I do feel like if you're going, like, you do need a bit of a structure. So I do tell myself at least an hour a day, I need to focus on it. If I feel like I'm capable of doing more, then I do more. If I feel like I'm too tired or my head isn't in the right space, I'm just going to do a disservice to the chapters or the pages
Right.
that I'm working on. And yeah, it also kind of depends on how my afternoon went. If I feel up to it, then I'll sit in the evenings as well. Sometimes I do feel a little bit more inspired in the evenings to work. At, Up until now, my routine in the evenings was a little bit rigid in terms of going to bed a certain time and all of that. But I've made some changes that are going to allow me to actually work a little bit more at night. So, and then I'll kind of see how that is going. But I think if you are doing this part-time, that flexibility is important. But also to make sure that you do have some accountability for yourself as well, in terms of doing at least, depending on the timeline that you've given the author. What I do is I kind of break it up, say this is the minimum that I need to do for this day in order to meet my deadline. And that is kind of where I stick. If some days I feel like, oh, I can do double that, then I'll sit and I'll do that and do that. And then at least that makes up for the days where you kind of feel like you're a bit more drained than usual.
Have you found, and I know we have to wrap it up. We have another interview coming up, but I can't stop asking questions.
That's why we need like a 4-part series.
We really do.
We'll do it.
No pressure, but yes. Azaria, have you ever found yourself so involved in the story that you allotted yourself an hour, but it's been a couple of hours and you're still so deep into the story that you just can't stop, like you're on a roll? Or does that only happen to authors?
Oh, no. It definitely happens to editors as well. Yeah. Yeah, no, it definitely does. And I have to say, like, especially with both of your stories as well, like it crawls under your skin, and then you get to a point where you're like, I'm actually quite tired. Like, I need to take a break right now, but you don't want to because you're just like you need, it's like you need that fix. You need to just go on to the next part.
Stay with the story.
Yes, exactly.
Well, I know we're wrapping up. But full disclosure, I am terrified of what I will receive from you.
No.
I'm excited.
No.
Well, I'm excited because it's finally, like, I gave her a diamond, right? And she's polishing it and making it shine and making it all pretty. So I'm excited because I'm confident with what I gave her. And her response when she read the whole book prior to actually working on it was beautiful. And so that gave me courage and that gave me, great feeling. However, I'm like, I hope I get a lot of the commas. Not a lot of like, put this and that, like, put this here, or that timeline doesn't work. Didn't that person die 2 years ago? Like, oh.
No, but that's all good. Even if you get the stuff that's like heavy, like, you want that because she caught like timeline issues in my book, like, so you want someone who do something similar, and and catch all the things that you, and your book's been through several people already. You know what I mean?
Right,
So
right.
this is just the cherry on top, having Azaria edit your book.
Azaria's throwing the sprinkles on top.
Exactly.
I love it.
Glitter bomb.
Yeah, glitter bomb.
Yes. Aww.
Yeah, so don't look at it as the edits as like, oh no, look at it as the glitter bomb.
Yeah. I mean,
yay, glitter!
Yay! Bring it on. Yeah. Oh, Azaria, we're so excited that you shared your time with us and that you're talking to so many amazing authors out there that are nervous like we were. And we hope that they reach out to you. We do truly hope that you come back and we can break it down into different series of, what authors need, because our authors are listening. So we love to always, elevate them by giving them information that can help them transform their book into a bestseller. So
exactly.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
everyone,
ladies, so much.
So how can our listeners and watchers find you if they need to reach you?
So I think the easiest way would be on Instagram. It is at amethyst.quill.services. As Priya mentioned at the start, I do editing and I do author support as well. So if you do need me to help you with book launches or just the day-to-day behind-the-scenes admin, you're welcome to reach out.
That.
Which is kind of scary too.
Yeah. But my DMs are open. There's more contact information there as well. And I just want to say thank you so much, ladies. This has been an absolute blast. I really enjoyed this.
Good. Absolutely.
Good.
It's our pleasure.
Thank you.
It's our pleasure. Let's do one last cheers, guys.
To Azaria, to editing,
cheers to Azaria, our favorite editor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so you guys make sure you follow her online, follow on Instagram. Her link is right there on her profile for all the ways to contact her and reach out to her, to submit your manuscript, get started. Even if you need PA work, we'll have another episode about that because I got lots of questions. All right, like, share, and follow, guys. Thanks so much, Azaria.
Till the next one. Bye, guys. Bye, Azaria.
Bye. Bye.